This is Mohammed Rameez and you are watching Flutter Fluency. So in this video we are going to discuss about button and its properties. So let's begin. So I have already added the button. So if you see into the button properties, so button properties contain basically a text portion. So button has two portions. Okay, so the first portion is icon portion and other portion is text portion. Okay, so which you can customize for the button. Okay, so the text portion is exactly the same the text widget have. So this is the exactly same panel the text widget also contain. So we can change the name. Let's suppose we are going to say submit. So this portion is a text, and if we're gonna change the styling and black, so it would be bold, and if we want to add a underline or italic, so we can also do this thing. And if you go down, so you will be able to see the buttons properties that itself button have. Okay, so in the button properties you can also set the width of an of this button. But specifically, let's suppose if you are creating a form. Okay, so text field form. So in the text field form, it's not look good to have a smaller button, because text field the whole page have lot of text field, 5 to 6 text field, and the button smaller button not look good. How we can expand this button? So if you want to do the expansion in the button, so you can see that I have wrapped, so this is my contain column, and in the column I have added my row, and within the row I have a button. Okay, so if I want to expand it, so I can simply click on width 100%, uh, or we can say that width infinity. So if I click there, so you can see that it's saying that it's crashing. Okay, which is obvious. It obviously it need to crash, because we have a row, so we have not defined the specific area. So what if my row is basically scrollable? Okay, so how much space this button can take? So it will be having an infinity space. How much scrolling I do, so no matter which amount of scrolling I can do, it will be showing the button, which is not a good thing. Okay, so that's why it's crashing. So if you really want to achieve this thing, expand this thing, so it's also possible, but you don't need to use the width property. Instead you need to use expansion. So if you click on expansion, so it will be expanding across the border. So you can add the spacing here, 12 pixels, the submit button, and let's explore more. So you can also add border color. Maybe the border color would be black color, and border width would be 2 pixels of border width. And then we have a radius, which is by default they have added 8 pixels. If you don't want, so you can simply remove it, and now we have a sharp corners. Okay, yeah, so this is basically for the content padding. So let's suppose if you have a smaller button, let's move to the smaller portion of the button. So reduce the expansion and reduce the radius too. Maybe we can say that 100 pixels maybe. Okay, so if we don't have this content padding, so what's happened? Let's click on this button. Okay, so this is uniform, so let me remove it. So you can see that if I don't have a left padding, so it will be attaching from the we can say the left side of the wall. And if we remove this thing as well, so it will be centered now. Okay, because now having an equal spacing, it's taking the equal spacing. But if you want left to manage their content padding by yourself, so you can also manage by adding 20. And if I add 20 as well here, so let's see, so it's now moving down, which is not an equal. So I'm assuming that the button size is also reduced, so let's move with the 40. Yeah, here you can see the button size is reduced. Button, not a button size, but a button text size is reduced. Also the button is now showing dot dot dot. Okay, so it's not showing the complete. So exactly here you can button padding, here you can manage a uh, button paddings. Acha, okay. So now let's suppose if you want when you click on this button, so obviously the form would be submitted into your database. And if you want your form would be submitted to the database. In the meantime, button will show loading. Obviously loading is important, because user need to see what the action, either the action is performed or not, because he don't want to wait until he will be able to see any sign that his action is in progress. So for that reason you need to click on show loading indicator, which is by default enabled. So when you click on it, so it will start loading until your form is submitted. Okay, another property comes up with the button, which is disable property. So if you want to disable this button uh, on a specific kind of scenario, maybe we can say that if the user has not completed their verification, so he will not be able to submit the form. So for that reason you need to disable this button based upon their verification check, user verification check. And you can also manage the disable colors. Let's suppose I'm gonna add the secondary button, secondary background color. So if I'm gonna make it preview, so you will be able to see when the button is disabled, so it will be showing like this. So you can manage the color and you can see it when it's disabled. Okay, so let's remove it. And button hover style is used when you are using when you are building web application, because in the web application when you hover over on it, on the button, so whatever the action you have added, so it will be prominent on you. But in the mobile application this feature does not any matter. Here you can see when the mouse is hover over on it. Okay, so this comes the second part, which I have told you in the start of the beginning of the video, which is icon part. So we have covered the text part, let's talk about icon part. So we can add icons on both ways. Either we can add on before the text or after the text. Leading is basically a before text, so you can set the position. Okay, so you are saying leading text, which means that whatever the icon you add would be on the before side of the text. Okay, so let's suppose I'm gonna say submit. Let's search submit icon, submit, or we can say save. Okay, so let's say we're gonna use this icon. Okay, and we're gonna expand our button, which is this. Okay, not this, I forgot. You already know what we need to do to expand. We need to use expansion. Okay, so yeah, okay, let's move down. And here you can see that the icon is now leading, so it's before the text. But if I'm gonna make it trailing, trailing means after text. So if I click there, so it moved to the after side, but it's looking better with the leading side, so I'm gonna use leading. Okay, so you can also change the size of the icon, maybe 22 pixels, which is the same size, constant size, when you add an icon, so it comes up with the 22 pixels. So you can also reduce it according to your own taste. And obviously the content icon, content padding, icon and content padding, so you can also manage this thing similarly to this button padding. Okay, similar to this. Okay, so that's all about the button, and we have covered all the things. Flex property you already know. Okay, so I don't need to tell you again because you have watched my previous video, so you already know how can we manage the flex. But if you don't know, so let me tell you in a shorter manner. So I'm gonna duplicate this button, Control D. So now it's duplicated. Both of these buttons are expanded. Okay, but I don't want this button. Maybe this button name is, we can say, maybe add. Okay, so this is add button, and the icon would be, maybe we can say plus. So the icon would be, yeah, this one. Okay, and I'm gonna make it to before. Okay, so right now both of these texts are taking similar space, which I don't want. First of all, I want is that both buttons having a spacing between their between them. Okay, so I'm gonna select my row, and now I'm gonna add item spacing, which you already know what are the purpose of item spacing, because we have covered this thing in a row and column widget video. Okay, so that spacing is now there, and now let's use the flex button. So I want that this submit button can take twice bigger space than this add. So I'm gonna leave it as it is, and I'm gonna change it to submit button flex property to 2. So now you can see that add button is one space, and it's taking twice space than the add button, twice area basically. So is there anything left behind? We have an opacity which we can use to show button visibility. Okay, so responsiveness behavior, this thing we are going to cover in the responsiveness videos where we are going to discuss how you can create a responsive web applications. Okay, conditional builder, oh sorry, conditionality based on visibility basically. So if you don't want to show this button, submit button, when the user have not verified, so you can enable this thing and you can add a condition so it will not be visible. Okay, and yep, that's it for this video, and if you have any question, so you can drop a message. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.